Hello, class. It is a pleasure to welcome you to this exegesis on the letter of James. To all you ITC students, I just want you to know what kind of institution you go to. It is important for this country to have students like you studying at ITC, and it is an honor to be your professor for this class. James is a book of justice in a lot of ways, and we will look at it like that this whole semester. This first lecture, I want to talk to you briefly about kind of an overview, not just of this course, but some of the mechanics of this course, how you're going to be graded, what kind of books you need, and things of that nature. James is important to me. I've spent a lot of my life over the past 15 years reading the letter of James, translating James, writing papers and books on James. I have a commentary I'm working on right now, and so it'll be fun to work with you all in this semester, looking at this letter, helping you think through it, helping me, and you guys helping me think through this letter. Right now, I think it's important to discuss a letter like this in light of recent events in the United States, specifically in Charlottesville. The kind of bigotry and hatred and racism that is on full display in our country requires all of us to take action to stand up for what's right and in a way that would honor our Christian tradition. James can help us do that, I think, especially in chapter 5, verses 1 through 6, where there's this really kind of condemnation of the wealthy landowners that withhold the wages away from the laborers. There's another section early on in the gospel, in the letter, chapter 2, 1 through 13, where James warns against partiality towards the wealthy and says that, do you not know that God has chosen the poor? That God's preference for the poor will also guide a lot of our direction and direct our conversation over this semester. We'll pay close attention to the verse by verse reading of the letter of James throughout this whole semester. But we're also going to be doing some very contextual readings. I want you to bring your identity into the reading of this gospel, in this letter. Forgive me for saying gospel so much. But this letter is important, and it'll take all of you and all of your nested identities to kind of grapple with this text. We're going to look at post-colonial theory and use that as a lens to read Scripture. I hope we can engage critical race theory and read race in and through this text and see how this text can read us and help us kind of rearrange our thinking about race in modern America and maybe in the globe. I want us to pay close attention to globalization and global studies and use that as a context of reading this letter. I think it's important because James is so rooted in the Roman Empire, and you'll read my book, James in Postcolonial Perspective, The Letter as Native as Discourse, and you'll see how I understand the letter of James in the context of Roman imperialism and in the emerging movement that became known as Christianity. We'll refer to it a lot as the Jesus movement in this class because it wasn't called Christianity when I think this letter was written, and it was a Jewish movement surrounded by the figure of Jesus of Nazareth. So you'll hear me talk about the Jesus movement a lot in this class. So let's talk about the logistics of the class in particular. Your participation is worth 5 points for this class. So you have to log in, go to our Moodle site, our class website, read the literature that's on there, watch the videos, take the exams. All that's going to count as your participation. We'll have a record of you logging on and viewing the different parts of the course. It goes without saying that you have to have a computer and you have to have good quality internet accessibility. Without those things, this course will be impossible. So there's going to be no excuses in this class regarding online activity and access to a computer. You got to have those things to be able to take this class. So make sure you have that. And your participation will count towards your overall grade of 5% and 5 points. You will have weekly exams this whole semester. These exams are going to be worth 2 points apiece. You're going to have a lot of them. You're going to have 12 weeks of exams, these short exams. They're generally about 5 questions long, and they come directly from our readings and from our the online format, the lectures that I'm doing, just like this. Sometimes I'll do it like this. Sometimes I'll be standing up talking to the camera. Other times I'll have a slideshow presentation where you can look through the slideshow, and you'll hear my voice just like this, but instead of me being in a video, it'll have a slide, just like a PowerPoint presentation type thing, and you'll see it scroll while we do that. So you'll be able to access the videos like that. So the videos and the readings are going to provide you with all the answers for all the questions for the class. Again, I'm gonna grade you on your 10 best exams, and these are really short exams, so don't freak out about it. But they are weekly. Every week you don't have a writing assignment or a final or midterm. You'll have one of these exams. You'll complete it online, and you should be able to see your grade immediately. What else to say about that? Each exam is going to be worth 2 points apiece. There's 10 of them. It's going to count towards 20 points to your overall grade, which is 20% of your grade is going to come from these exams. Do them every week. Do the readings, watch the videos, and then take the exam. That's the best way to do it, and have the best outcome over the semester. Don't miss these exams because they do add up towards the end of the semester, and they're really not that hard, especially if you do the reading and watch the videos. So the weekly exams, you're going to have an exegesis paper. On an exegesis class, you've got to have an exegesis paper. This paper is going to communicate to me how much you've engaged this class and how much you're going to be engaging the letter of James. The paper is going to be 7 to 8 pages, but I'm going to go on word count. So I go ahead and make it 12 point Times New Roman font with an inch margin for my ease of reading. But if you inflate the size and small, make the margins bigger, it's not going to matter because I'm going to be able to do a word count and determine how long the essay is. The essay is going to be 1,750 to 2,000 words. That's roughly 7 to 8 pages in 12 point Times New Roman font with double space with inch margins. So follow the word count and you'll be fine. You're going to have 3 options to write an exegesis paper. You can write an exegesis paper on James chapter 2, verses 14 through 26, James chapter 4, verses 1 through 12, or James chapter 5, 1 through 6. I want you to write one paper, 7 to 8 pages long, on one of those passages. And you get to choose which passage to write your paper on. Just read the 3 passages and find the one that really resonates with you, and start working on that passage. And go ahead and do that this week. Don't wait to write this paper the week of it's due. You need to go ahead and start working on it. Each one of these sections are important to the letter of James. I hope you read it and something resonates with you in a way that you're like, I want to write about that. And then once you kind of figure out which one of these 3 passages you're going to write on, determine what kind of reading strategy you're going to employ. Are you going to do contextual hermeneutics? Are you going to do postcolonial theory? Are you going to do critical race theory? Are you going to do a feminist or a womanist reading? You figure out which kind of critical lens you're going to use to exegete this passage. That'll determine the kind of questions you're going to ask the text. And it'll determine the kind of answers you'll get. So go ahead and start working on this and try to figure it out. Go ahead and start writing it. I'm going to judge you based on the content of your paper. Do you show me you understand the text and the issues behind the text? Do you show me that you have a good understanding of what what critical reading strategy you're using, whether it's feminism or womanist or post-colonial theory or critical race theory or globalization. And do you do a good job in writing? Is your grammar and style and punctuation, its sentence structure, is that good? I will grade on grammar and style, so those are big issues. Go ahead and start working on this paper. You can send me copies or pieces of your paper as you work on it and get my feedback all the way up to the due date. And once the due date's here, you got to turn it in to me, and then I'll work to start grading it right after that. But I do hope this paper is exciting to you. I hope you get to pour a lot of your life into it, and so it's something good for you. Hopefully, it'll be useful to you in the real world. But it is an exegesis paper for this class, and it's the largest single piece of your grade. It'll be worth 35 points or 35% of your overall grade. So work on it. You'll need to use the sources that you're reading for class, Luke Timothy Johnson's commentary, my book. Alicia Batten has another good book out there. I'll find a way to send you those resources. But Margaret Amers, her book for this class, use those as resources. But you'll also have to find some other resources for this paper. So already start working on that now, so that it doesn't take you by surprise later on. The other two major components to this grade is a final and a midterm. Each one of those are going to be worth 20 points, which is 20% of your grade. Together, they are 40% of your overall grade. Both are going to be 10 questions apiece, and they will come directly from the readings and directly from the lectures, just like those weekly exams. Some of the questions on there might come directly from those weekly exams, so it even kind of creates a more importance on those exams. So you're going to have participation 5%, paper 35%, that's 40% total. You're going to have weekly exams, that's 20%, a final that's 20%, and a midterm that's 20%. So work really hard on those and do the best you can. And I'll be grading them as we go. So that's how you're going to be graded. That's the content. The syllabus will have, what constitutes A work. It'll give you an idea of what I'm looking for. It also gives you the scale, the ITC grading scale of what's an A, what's an A minus, B plus, B minus, and all that. So take a look at it. If you have any form of disability, please let the administration know and let me know immediately so that we can make accommodations for you. We want you to be able to take this course. We want you to give this all you got, and if you have any needs that we can provide that will make this possible for you, let me or the administration know so that we can make sure we have those mechanisms in place for you. There are going to be some required readings. Margaret Amers' book, it's really a quick read and very accessible. It's called James, Diaspora Rhetoric of a Friend of God. It's a T&T Clark Study Guides to the New Testament. She used to be a professor at ITC. She's fantastic. She's a good friend of mine. You should enjoy her book. It's very readable. My book, James in Postcolonial Perspective, will be a required reading. It is more technical. You don't need to know Greek or Hebrew or German or French to read this book, but there are sections in the book that have that, have those resources. So it wouldn't hurt if you had those language skills. But if you have any questions about language stuff, send me an email and ask me about it. But my book is more technical. It is at a higher level of reading, but it's certainly a graduate level book that you should be able to engage. I'd love for you all to get a HarperCollins Study Bible that uses the New Revised Standard Version. This is on your syllabus, so you should be able to get it. Luke Timothy Johnson, his 1995 commentary in the Anchor Bible series, the letter of James is I think it's the standard right now. James Allison, for the Intercontinental Commentary Series, that's another standard. But I think Luke Timothy Johnson's probably the most accessible for seminary students. It's a really good commentary, and it's a required reading. So go ahead and get that and start working on it. I think Johnson and Amer's work is, you need to read that this week. So go ahead and get those books ASAP. Another important book on the letter of James is Elsa Tamez, the letter of James. It's called The Scandalous Message of James. Faith without works is dead. Elsa Tamez comes out of the liberation theology mode of discourse. She's a professor. The last I remember, she was in Costa Rica. Incredible scholar, important scholar, just like Margaret. So go ahead and get that book. Those are the required readings. That I might recommend some other readings as the course progresses. But you shouldn't have to buy anything else. I'll be able to provide that to you in PDF format on our Moodle site. So those are the required readings. In the syllabus and on our Moodle site, you'll have a schedule for the whole semester from week 1 to finals week. This week, August 21 through 27, we're just going to do this, look over the syllabus, get a clear understanding about what's expected from you and what's expected for this class. And then in this next video, I'll go into some detail about the letter of James in general, do kind of a general overview of the letter, look at some of the historical questions related to the letter of James, like authorship, date, structure, recipients, etc. And that'll be it for this semester, this week. Go ahead and read Margaret and Luke Timothy's work and look for that exam. I'll probably have that exam posted Monday or Tuesday, something like that. But that's where it is. If you have any questions, send me an email. My email is on the syllabus and you should be able to find it on our Moodle site. So I'm really looking forward to this class. I'm excited to be talking about the letter of James. I hope you're excited too. I hope we can dive deep. It's a short letter. It's only 5 chapters long. In Greek, it's only 108 verses. So we should really be able to spend a long time with this short text and really kind of get a better understanding of this little letter and its significance for the early Jesus movement. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email.